September 16, 1992, a Wednesday that would become known as Black Wednesday. The British government was in panic mode. The Prime Minister was locked in emergency meetings. The Chancellor of the Exchequer was sweating bullets. And one man, sitting calmly in his New York office, was about to make $1 billion in a single day by breaking the Bank of England. His name was George Soros. And on that day, he became the man who bankrupted Britain. This is not a story about a hack or a robbery. This is a story about how one investor bet against an entire country and won. How he exposed the weakness of one of the world's most powerful economies. And how he walked away with one of the biggest profits in financial history. This is the story of the man who broke the Bank of England. George Soros was born in Budapest, Hungary in 1930. His childhood was marked by one of the darkest periods in human history. During World War II, when Nazi Germany occupied Hungary, Soros and his family had to hide and use fake identities to survive. He was just 14 years old when he saw death and destruction all around him. But he survived. After the war, Hungary fell under communist control. In 1947, at 17 years old, he escaped to England with almost nothing in his pockets. He was a refugee, alone in a foreign country, struggling to survive. He worked odd jobs to pay for his education at the London School of Economics. He washed dishes, sold handbags, and worked as a railway porter. Life was hard, but Soros was determined. He studied philosophy and economics, fascinated by how markets worked and how money moved around the world. In 1956, Soros moved to New York City and started working on Wall Street. He was smart, ambitious, and had a unique way of understanding markets. He believed that markets were driven by human emotions. Fear and greed, hope and panic. In 1970, Soros founded his own investment fund called the Quantum Fund. His strategy was simple but dangerous. He would bet big on major economic changes, looking for weaknesses in currencies and government policies. By the early 1990s, Soros was already a billionaire, but his biggest trade was still ahead of him. To understand what happened on Black Wednesday, we need to understand the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, or the ERM. This was a system created in 1979 to keep European currencies stable. Countries agreed to keep their currencies within a certain range against each other. In October 1990, Britain decided to join the ERM. The British pound would be tied to the German mark. But there was a massive problem. Britain's economy was in trouble. Inflation was high, unemployment was rising, and interest rates were already crushing businesses and homeowners. Meanwhile, Germany's economy was strong and needed high interest rates to control inflation after reunification. This created a nightmare scenario for Britain. To stay in the ERM, Britain had to keep interest rates high to match Germany. But high interest rates were destroying the British economy. Businesses were failing, people couldn't afford their mortgages, and the country was sliding into recession. By 1992, everyone could see the problem. The British pound was overvalued, staying artificially high because of the ERM. But the British economy was weak. Something had to give. The British government insisted they would stay in the ERM no matter what. Prime Minister John Major and Chancellor Norman Lamont promised they would defend the pound whatever it takes. They spent billions buying their own currency to keep the price up. But George Soros was watching, and he saw an opportunity. Soros had been studying the British economy for months. His conclusion was clear: Britain could not stay in the ERM. The pound was too strong, and the economy was too weak. It was mathematically impossible to continue. He knew that the Bank of England was spending billions to defend the pound, but they would eventually run out of money or political will. When that moment came, the pound would crash. And anyone who bet against the pound would make a fortune. So Soros made the decision. He would bet against the British pound with everything he had. He borrowed billions of dollars and used them to sell pounds, betting that the value would fall. This strategy is called short selling. It's risky, it's dangerous, and in this case, it meant betting against one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world. Other investors started to notice what Soros was doing and began betting against the pound too. Soon, dozens of hedge funds, banks, and traders all around the world were selling pounds at the same time. It was a feeding frenzy. The British government tried everything to stop them. They spent billions buying pounds. They raised interest rates from 10 to 12% in a single morning, then to 15%. Imagine having your mortgage payment suddenly jump by 50%. It was economic suicide. But nothing worked. The selling continued, the pound kept falling, and the Bank of England was losing billions. Wednesday, September 16, 1992, started with chaos. The British government was burning through Britain's foreign currency reserves at an insane speed. Billions were disappearing every hour. At noon, they announced that interest rates were going up to 15%. It was a move designed to shock the markets, but it didn't work. Nobody believed Britain could sustain 15% interest rates without destroying the economy completely. By early afternoon, it was over. Norman Lamont appeared on television and announced that Britain was leaving the ERM. The pound was free to fall. Britain had surrendered. The moment the announcement was made, the pound crashed, falling more than 15% in value almost immediately. And George Soros had just made $1 billion in profit in one day. Some estimates say his total profit was closer to $2 billion. It wasn't just Soros who made money, but he became the face of the trade. The newspapers called him the man who broke the Bank of England. For Britain, it was a disaster. The government had spent over £3 billion trying to defend the currency and lost it all. The Prime Minister's reputation was destroyed. Norman Lamont resigned shortly after, and the Conservative Party never fully recovered from the humiliation. But here's the twist. In the long run, leaving the ERM was the best thing that could have happened to Britain. With the pound devalued, British exports became cheaper and the economy started to grow again. Within a few years, Britain was doing better than it had in years. So who was the villain in this story? Was it George Soros, the speculator who bet against a country? Or was it the British government, who made a promise they couldn't keep? Soros always defended his actions, saying he was simply doing his job as an investor. He saw a broken system and exploited it. He didn't cause the crisis was already there. He just made it visible. In his own words, "I was playing by the rules." If the rules are bad, don't blame the players, blame the game. Many economists agree with him. They say that Britain should never have joined the ERM in the first place. The whole system was flawed, and Soros just exposed the truth. But others see it differently. They say that speculators like Soros make money by destroying economies and causing panic that hurts ordinary people. The 15% interest rates caused real pain. People lost their homes and businesses went bankrupt. Soros became a controversial figure. Some saw him as a genius, others as a vulture. But everyone agreed on one thing: he changed the game. He showed that even the most powerful governments could be defeated by the markets. After Black Wednesday, Soros continued to invest and became one of the world's biggest philanthropists, donating billions to democracy, education, and human rights. But his legacy will always be tied to that one day in September 1992 when he broke the Bank of England and made $1 billion. The story of George Soros and Black Wednesday teaches us something important. Governments can make promises, print money, and pass laws, but they cannot fight reality forever. If the economics don't work, the system will break. Soros didn't break the Bank of England because he was evil or a genius. He did it because he saw the truth that others refused to see. He bet on reality, and reality won. Black Wednesday was a humiliation for Britain. But it was also a lesson about the limits of government power and the danger of making promises you can't keep. George Soros became a legend that day. Not everyone likes him, but everyone respects the trade that broke a country and made history. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe to Capital Sins. Drop a comment. Was Soros a genius or a ruthless speculator? See you in the next video.